Yeah, boy, it's July 27th and it's episode 140. This is the Fantasy Football Auctioneer podcast. The podcast is the official podcast of the fantasyfootballauction.com, the internet's only website dedicated to fantasy football auctions. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Fantasy Auction, or like us on .cam/Fantasy Football Auctioneer. It's an exciting day for fantasy football owners today. Some training camps started. The rest of them will be up and running by the end of the week. Football's back, baby. Today we're going to talk. We're going to answer some listener questions, and I'll try to actually put the music in for Dave. We'll discuss some news, and we'll take a look at some buy or sells, and then we'll talk about some drafts that Blister and I are in right now, and everything else will be all fantasy football auction. But of course, our analysts, they're always here. He graciously let me into his studio tonight. Blister, thanks for the invite.
Welcome in, Mr. Buckets. Welcome in. Buckets was scared of the last podcast when Anti-Buckets crashed the studio, so he had to get a safer place this week, and so we brought him over here. I think he should be safe here.
I finally showed her the debacle that was the YouTube video from, I think it's, if I remember correctly, 1 hour, 4 minutes. Thanks, Dave, for calling us out on Twitter, too. That was pretty good. Anyways, we'll move on. And he's recovering from 2 herniated discs and some severe dehydration. Slim, how's the DIY project going?
Slow. Go slow when you have to watch a 2-year-old every day for the vast majority of the day. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get her done by the end of August. That's my goal at this point.
Well, I was just happy that I stumbled across you guys yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure you were thrilled when you saw what you had to do, but I was happy.
A couple of beers is always a good thing. So,
yeah, well, those were necessary that day too. It was hot. It was hot that day. No,
well, I tweeted a picture. I tweeted a picture of the project, right? Of you mid-project.
Yeah.
Just so people who are listening are going, "What the hell are they talking about?"
My brother-in-law tearing his ass out of his shorts, trying to lift a 600-pound.
Gibby goes, "Whoops, here's my shorts."
Gibby?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, that is.
Well, we just thought we could muscle those things up and just plunk them into place, and then we tried to lift. And yeah, no. I think you, Slim, doing it by yourself, it might have been a little tough.
Oh, yeah. I'd still be there trying to inch it over.
Our mathematician was like, well, let's just do it the way the Egyptians did it.
On some rollers or what?
Yeah, well, that was actually one comment that came out at one point. Let's just do it like the Egyptians did it. What? Explain that to me. I thought aliens built.
But it was good. 600-pound. Yeah. 600-pound slabs of concrete. We got her in there. It was good. Anyways, yeah. All right. Let's get rolling. We've done, I think we saved the majority of the good content for before the pod, so we'll try to rekindle some of the good conversation that was happening before. So if you guys are ready, then I'm ready. Let's cock the hammer. It's time for action. To do some listener questions, we're going to do some news, buy or sell, and talk about this draft that Blister and I are in. We talked about it a little bit last week, and well, I guess let's do that now. We started last week. We only had a few picks in, but Blister, we've been in this Data Force draft. How's your draft going so far?
Well, I was a little disappointed at the start because, as any draft can, it can throw you a curveball. And twice in a row at the start, I was trying to pay a little bit more for running backs. I ended up getting Doug Martin for 30 and Eddie Lacy for 32, which isn't terrible, I don't think. I just thought that they would probably go for maybe even close to 40, but ended up I got them for 30 and 32. Money that I thought I would be pouring into wide receiver, and in the end, now I've got 13 players drafted. Now I've got more than anybody, and I sat back for quite a while. Ended up with I have 7 receivers now. I got Josh Gordon at 6, Randall Cobb 31, Kevin White 12, Larry Fitz at 13, Alan Hearns at 6, Michael Crabtree at 10, and Marcus Wheaton at 3. And it's a best ball, so each week the computer optimizes your lineup. You only start 2 running backs, and you can start 3 receivers and 1 flex. So it's a PPR league, so probably more often than not, 4 of those 7 receivers will probably be starting. I drafted 2 quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, and so far 2 tight ends, Delaney Walker and Darius Green. All those last 4 players were $7, except for Delaney Walker. I paid $9. And in some of the situations I'm in now, is I still have comparatively, I'm 27 with 5 spots to fill. So pretty much looking to get 2 more running backs and potentially a kicker, defense, and a tight end. So I'm kind of happy with my squad right now. I think in a best ball, I got a lot of different receivers that can contribute. My quarterbacks are typically good quarterbacks for any kind of league. And my tight ends, I'm quite happy with too so far. So it's interesting though. Some prices were, I found some prices went pretty high at the start, and it was something that baited. Doing a best ball auction, do you typically I think what I would probably more often subscribe to is the studs and scrubs strategy, making sure I can get some really solid players at their position and not worry about my bench, because more often than not I'd be dropping those guys or I'd be subbing them out for somebody else that comes along and easily. But in a best ball, you kind of want the depth, because if your stud doesn't have a good week, it doesn't matter, because there's 4 more receivers on your bench that can easily be subbed in by the computer, and you can have a great lineup. So that was kind of my thinking after a while. It was hard to pass up on some of these guys, and the prices seemed pretty decent. But then thinking, well, I'm looking at some lineups where they've got 4 or 5 guys, but when you're starting 10 people in a week, probably aren't going to have a lot of bench depth. In a best ball format like this, you're not going to be thinking, well, I'll draft Jonathan Stewart and Cameron Artis-Payne. Artis-Payne isn't going to help you unless Jonathan Stewart.
Right.
If you can get a starter from another team, even if it's or a timeshare like Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon, might be better off than doing that. But you're still you need to have starters, and I don't know. It's a fun little format. What about you, Bax? What do you think?
Well, I mean, so far things we're shaping up okay, and then I actually got Wi-Fi, and I've been actually drafting now, and I don't know if I like where it's gone from there. My team so far is Kelvin 5, Allen Robinson for 40, Jordan Matthews for 6, Mike Evans for 34, Matt Forte for 22, Carlos Hyde for 19. I picked up Dorial Green Beckham for 6, Melvin Gordon for 9, and I just my last pick was Nelson Aguilar for 2. I really like my receiver. Obviously, I think with my steal, I think of the draft, and Slim, you can correct me. I'm not going to say K-Ben, but Allen Robinson and Mike Evans, I think for a combined total of 74 is a good little buy, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I don't know what the rest of how that relates to other receivers in those tiers, but I mean, it seems to me like Allen Robinson for 40, that's a lot cheaper than he normally goes. And I mean, Mike Evans, what did you say you got him for?
34.
That's closer, I guess, to where he goes. But I mean, I guess if you think Mike Evans is a wide receiver 1, then that's pretty good value, because that means he should be going for closer to 40 most of the time.
Right.
So yeah, I think both guys were, according to AAV, pretty cheap in that regard. I don't know, how did the top end guys go in this, since it was a best
well, here
ball?
I can give you
I know, like Blister, when he was talking to spread it out, I think that's a good way to go in best ball, especially this year with how deep wide receiver is. I can't see guys like Antonio Brown going for close to $70 and Julio for 60 in that format.
Antonio Brown went for 64, Julio for 59, Odell was 63, AJ Green 56, Nuke was 53, Allen Robinson for 40. So that was kind of that top tier guys in our ranks. Antonio Brown, Julio, Odell, AJ, and Hopkins went from 53 to 64. And then that bump down into that next kind of tier with Allen Robinson, Dez, Keenan Allen. Those were Allen Robinson 40, Des Keenan Allen was 40. And then Demarius
Yeah.
Thomas, real late there, as our 16th ranked receiver, was for 43.
That's crazy.
Jordan.
But that's, to me, the tier I guess you target. Allen Robinson, Des Bryant, Keenan Allen, those guys. They seem to be going for considerably less than those other guys. And why can't they do, they could very easily have as many wide receiver 1 weeks as those other guys going ahead of them.
Right. So I'm just kind of holding on now for trying to find quarterbacks and tight ends, and I'm trying to figure out what my strategy is going to be. I think I have an idea of how many of those positional guys I want, but with this, it's kind of unique, not like an NFL where you don't have any waiver. This, you have one waiver move a week, and it's a $500 fab budget. So I'm thinking those onesie positions, as JJ would put it, you can still kind of stream them a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think
Slim?
so, especially tight end. Well, even quarterback. I mean, there's always going to be a couple guys out there.
Right. Like, I mean, in MFL, the talk is maybe 3 quarterbacks and maybe, 2 tight ends and 3 defenses, let's say, so that you can always make sure you have a top 12 guy. But in this situation, if I can get a waiver, if you can make a waiver move, if there's an injury or a bye week, I don't know how important it is to really load up on 3 of those in those positions.
Yeah. Go wait and see what happens with the Denver situation. Maybe
that's right.
Sanchez, I'll take him off waivers.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
no, I don't
anyways,
think
that's yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just kind of see what's going to come up. We have a few guys that are on the docket right now. Jonathan Stewart's on. He's on right now. He's coming off the board as the last one for tonight. And then we'll take a look and see what's happening for tomorrow. But Jay Stu's on right now for $10. And there's 8 minutes remaining in that. And then we don't see anything until tomorrow. Jameson's Barnett, Frank Gore, Zach Miller, TJ Yeldon, Jeremy Hill. So there's still a lot of good guys coming up too. So, but it's been a fun little draft. It's been a good group of guys. We're in a Twitter group right now, and there's lots of chatter, lots of gifs flying around. Faguzzi loves the gif, so that's good. Makes things for a good laugh. And one of the things that Blister, I was just going to say, as you're sitting here right now, I like that this site has the draft board.
Yeah, it's nice to see that.
The way that it's laid out, I doubt you could actually see it if I try to put it on Slim. Pull the iPad out, but
yeah,
this is a nice feature for an auction, right? You can see really quickly how much they went for. They're coded positionally too, and that's been really helpful to get a quick reference as to what's going on. So Draft Force, that's been pretty good. Oh yeah, what's it? You're going to draft right now. He loves you. He knows. Oh, Mr. Blister is good for a draft. That's Scout Fantasy emailing Blister directly to see if he wants to get in on one.
Too late. I missed it by 15 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, so that's a quick little dataforceff.com new site that we're on this analyst type auction draft. So it's been kind of fun, and it's been interesting because these are real numbers that are happening right now as training camp's kind of opening and news is kind of rolling out. And I think as we roll into sell, we can talk about how some of those numbers shook out in this draft and what they're going to look like as far as some of the new breaking news that's out there. So why don't we get into news, guys? We haven't cocked the hammer yet. So have we? Oh yeah, we cocked the hammer already. All right, so that's different having a counterpart here beside me. He gets distracted very easily, and now I'm distracted very easily. We need a bunch of Ritalin over here, Slim, so we can stay on task.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Anyways, let's move into segment number 1. This one's called We Just Got a Letter. So, we just got a letter or a tweet. We didn't get any emails this week, but you can email us. It's footballauctioneer@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at Fantasy Auction, and we'll get back to you pretty quick. Usually, there's a couple of us that'll answer you right back, or we'll answer them here live on the pod like we're going to tonight. So the first one comes from Rusty at Russelino Brian. He asks, it's a keeper question, Slim, your favorite. He's got $1 Travis Benjamin? No, it's got to be Kelvin Benjamin. And $1 Michael Floyd, $1 Dante Moncrief. So you get to pick 2. He also has Dougie Martin at $8. Slim, who do you like here if you had to keep 2 between Benjamin, Floyd, and Moncrief?
Yeah, the question kind of was confusing. I don't know if we're supposed to add Doug Martin for $8 in there. I'm not going to. I'm just going to assume he's keeping him. So pick 2. I like Moncrief for sure. After that, it is literally for me splitting hairs between Benjamin and Floyd. So it comes down to personal preference. Right now, I have Benjamin ranked slightly ahead of Floyd, but
he's a Benjamin lover. Did you hear that?
Rankings for me are just like dropping seemingly every day. I feel like I want to kick him down my rankings more and more. So yeah, I mean, right now I have Benjamin slightly ahead, but I can see someone making the argument if you think that, Larry Fitzgerald is going to take a step backwards a little bit and not be used as much. Michael Floyd's going to emerge, then I can see the case being made for Floyd over Benjamin as well. So pick your poison. I would lean very, very, very slightly right now to Benjamin, but that could very well change tomorrow. So, but yeah, go with Moncrief.
Yeah, Blister, what do you think? Benjamin, Floyd, Moncrief?
I like Moncrief first and then Floyd. Moncrief's only 22 years. Did you say it was a dynasty league too?
Keeper
league. Moncrief's 22 years old only. Benjamin's 25 and Floyd's 26. The best Floyd's ever finished was 25th 3 years ago. Last year he was 38th. The year before that was 44th ranked receiver. Benjamin in his rookie year finished as a 15th ranked wide receiver, and last year obviously didn't play. So I just feel like Benjamin might have more opportunity there. We don't know how long Carson Palmer is going to be around either at quarterback there, and if that'll hurt the receiving core.
Or if he just gets hurt this year, that's a typical situation for him, right? Go off one year and then get banged up the next year.
That's right. So I'd go with Benjamin and Moncrief.
And I think I'm the same way. If you were going to ask me, I know Slim's going to get me to defend my rankings as far as Kelvin Benjamin goes. So I don't know. I like Benjamin coming into this year. I mean, I have a little bit of bias because I owned him in that 2 years ago, and so he did well, and so then you kind of like the guy. But at the same time, I just think Cam's starting to figure out the passing game. I think they're starting to call an offense where they trust him to throw the football a little bit more. And this, the great big target, the guy that goes up and gets it of Benjamin, hopefully that'll help to pay off for him. Now, he's not the only show in town with Greg Olsen. I get that. But I do like that Ted Ginn can take the top off, and then those intermediate routes can be for Benjamin. So that's why I would take Benjamin over Floyd. And also, too, as a keeper, just like Blister was saying with the Carson Palmer, you know how much I trust that he's going to make it through this season, let alone next season and beyond if you're keeping. But Slim, to be honest with you, the Benjamin pick in the Data Force draft was intermittent Wi-Fi. It was on the turn coming in. I think I just smoked a cigar and I was a few beers in, and I max betted Kelvin Benjamin for the AA $25. So I threw in the $25 bid as my max bid and walked away from it. I got Wi-Fi a couple days later and went, oh, look at that. I got Kelvin Benjamin. So that's kind of how it went. It wasn't a bidding war. It wasn't super high, but I'm high enough to be happy with him as my wide receiver 3 or 4 in this draft. I'll tell you that. So between him and Jordan Matthews, let's say if I want to have Allen Robinson and Mike Evans, I think in the wide receiver 3 and flex position, both Jordan Matthews and Kelvin Benjamin, I think I'm all right. And as the coach Pow said on Twitter today, that third year wide receiver, let's go get him. So Anyways,
Nah,
there.
I'm
That
over
is my
that.
rank. We do have a question for on here. Do you want to?
We can do it after, yeah. After
Okay,
these ones.
so we'll do one more Twitter question, and then Blister does have an email question that didn't end up on the script here. So, second question here is from @DanHodge74. It's a $200 10-man PPR. Keep Crabtree for $1. Let's go. So I guess it's a keeper question. Crabtree for $1, Josh Gordon for $1, or Jeremy Hill for $2. All right. So I don't know that. Do you think? What are we doing?
Wonder how many you can keep.
I don't know.
That's
10-man.
what, that's what I first thought too. Blister was how many other keepers are there? What's the rest of your team look
All right.
like?
Let's say keep
What?
one. Is Crabtree for $1, Josh Gordon for $1, or Jeremy Hill for $2? Slim. Keep one.
I mean, if I had a bunch of decent keepers already, like good starting lineup already, I'm keeping Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
That being said, I think Crabtree is much, much safer. I think even if Gordon, lives up to whatever expectations we might be having, unless you're this delusional kind of Josh Gordon truther who thinks he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I just don't see that personally. But then to me, him and Crabtree are essentially even. Maybe Crabtree's even a little bit ahead just in terms of what their weekly production can be like. Then you start adding in the fact that Josh Gordon's going to be missing games, and he's literally 1 strike away from never playing again this season. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is only $1. And yes, there is some ceiling to Josh Gordon, but I don't see his ceiling being any higher than really Michael Crabtree's. Plus, there's also a floor that is an absolute 0. So, yes, it's $1, but if you want to be smart, I think Crabtree's the play.
What do you think, Blister? Crabtree, Gordon, or Jeremy Hill for $2?
Yeah, I like Crabtree as well for $1. I mean, last year he scored 231 points in PPR. Jeremy Hill got 174. I don't think the rules change a whole lot. I think if anything, the offense Crabtree's in could only get better. They have a good defense as well. They could be finding themselves in good scoring positions more. In Cincinnati, there are some issues there with Eifert could be missing some time, but it could just mean more catches for G. And I think Jeremy Hill, I like him, but I just think he's really going to have to perform this year to, still have a spot next year. I think this is a real big year for him, but I just don't see him. I don't think his ceiling's as high as what Crabtree's could be, especially in a PPR format. And I just don't trust Josh Gordon. He's already missing 4 games. That part worries me because with that first 4 month or the first month off, those 4 games, that just gives him 1 more month to do something dumb and get himself kicked out of the league. So I just don't trust him. And if you can trade him, maybe you should trade him and try to get something a little more, more stability there. That might be a better option.
Yeah, and what type of condition is he in when he comes in, and those types of things. And I'm thinking with Jeremy Hill for $2, I mean, you could turn around and spend $1 in your auction and get younger guys or as young guys that have more upside. I think, especially long term. If you look at what we took, Jerick McKinnon, or maybe Tevin Coleman goes this year, Buck Allen. You could take a Derrick Henry for $1, and those ceilings can maybe be there, where you kind of know what you're getting with Jeremy Hill. So that's my answer for that too. Anything else to add there, guys?
I knew you'd never pick Hill Bucks, as you just traded him in our dynasty league. So I knew your answer. I could have ruled him out for you.
And you like that trade, right?
You're damn right. If you can get Gio Bernard from Jeremy Hill, do that.
I mean, let's call that straight up, right? That trade. What did I give, a 4th or 3rd with it?
I don't even remember.
I think that's all that it was. So you can pretty much call that straight up.
Could have given a 2nd, and
So,
I would have still taken Jeremy Hill or Gio Bernard. Sorry.
Or Gio, yeah. So next question here, a Twitter question @Emil's11. It's got a $200 cap. Is AJ Green worth $41? Slim, is he?
Yes. Yes. I mean, he's a $50 receiver. I maybe I'm higher on him than most or more. I don't know. It seems like I am. I don't get it. I mean, to me,
I don't
he's
think
can
you're
be
higher
top
than most.
five. Well, I just feel like in the mocks that I see and things like I don't. He's always there. There's guys like Hopkins, Allen Robinson. Those guys always go ahead of him, and that's fine. But can't always be. I mean, the guy is projected to get a ton of volume. There's no one else there. Eifert, we don't know, for sure when he's coming back. He could very well get injured again. There's no other receivers really on the roster that are gonna, carve into his touches considerably. So, I mean, it's a green light for AJ Green, I think, this year.
Blister, what do you think? Is he worth 41?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's going to line for a big year. He's going to get a lot, obviously the majority of the targets there and catches. And he's good. Even when they put the number one guys on him, it's not going to slow him down a whole lot. So I think that, if you can grab AJ Green for $41, you'll be very fortunate. And in this situation, it's definitely a good buy.
I agree. Slim, over under on AJ Green. He had over under 132 targets this year.
Over under on. I don't know how many he had last year.
130. He had 132. So I'm saying, will he get more this year than last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Blister?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll be up by 160.
All right. So if he's up to 160, Slim over under 100 receptions.
Over.
Blister?
Yeah, he'll be over 100 this year.
All right. And he had 10 touchdowns last year. Over under. Slim?
Oh, you went to me. Can I push?
Yeah, push. That's fair.
Seems like a pretty
Blister?
decent. I don't know.
10's pretty high.
Pretty good, yeah. He might get 11, maybe 12.
So let's see if he gets into 160 receptions, 160 targets and 100 receptions. That's Odell Beckham from last year. So that pushes him into that top 5 tier, right? I mean, Beckham gets 13 touchdowns last year, but Julio Jones, I mean, didn't have the same touchdown production, but makes that up for in receptions, whatever. So I think AJ Green is poised to do better than last year. I think all three of us say that. And he finished as wide receiver 8 in PPR last year. So that pushes him into top 5 or 6 for sure. So $41 for sure.
Pretty good.
For sure.
Nice. Pretty nice.
All right. So Blister's got an email question here that didn't make it onto the script, Slim. So you're going into this cold, unprepped. Give us the Cole's notes.
Okay. First of all, it's from Jameson. Now, Jameson, you might have to correct me. Is your name Hofkes or you the F silence and go with Hawkes or Hokes or Holks? I'm not sure. I've butchered it. Let's go with Jameson H. Jameson's a good guy. He's a subscriber to the site, 2 years running here. First of all, he wondered when Uncle Buckets is going to have the 14-team PPR auction values up.
Oh.
And I said I would get to you, Buckets. So now I'm just getting to you.
I'll do it tonight.
There you go. And then he was entering with our rankings. We have the plus minus values on the side. Exactly what that meant. So that's a good question because others might be wondering that same thing. And basically, you're looking on the side. You have a few columns. Your average auction value, and then your PRV is your positional rankings value. So basically, what the average auction value is what they're going for. Your average auction real life value is the PRV tells you based on the position they're in what that position. If it's the number one ranked receiver, in this case, like Antonio Brown, it's $65.
That's actually wrong.
It's wrong.
67. Yeah. Oh no, on my page that I have in front of me. But
anyways, you're looking for the guys that have the minus the last and final column. So if I take a look real quickly at say Amari Cooper, we have him as the 11th ranked wide receiver. His average auction value is $35. His positional ranking value is 41, meaning typically an 11th ranked wide receiver might cost you in the $41 range, which means he is actually going for $6 less than what his position should dictate by. So if you're looking at those ones with minuses, Keenan Allen at -4 and Amari Cooper -6. You can get those guys at those ranges, save yourselves $10. You're going to be able to invest that in your RB3 or somebody else down the road. So that's what that means.
The VI, I think of it as a coupon, right? And so you're getting whatever the value is on the side. That's what you're getting off the asking price. So
next thing up, and this is where you can jump into, Slim, is Jameson's been reading a lot about and thinking seriously about going to zero RB strategy this year. Because who are your favorites if going this route in the RB and wide receiver categories? He says he finds himself liking Duke Johnson a lot, and seeing as the Browns should be trailing in most games this year, I think he'll be in line for a lot of receptions. He usually spends up for one of the big guys, Julio, the last 2 years, but this year he says he's finding himself gravitating towards not paying for one of them and going with someone like Alshon Jeffrey for his number one to save some money and get some other high-end wide receivers as well. What are your thoughts? So
I know Slim's answer already.
Yeah,
his answers, he loves it.
Yeah, well, he probably will, and I'd reply too, just based on those values. I mean, you could have, Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper for $75 or $76 versus Antonio Brown might cost you $66. You could have two potential wide receiver ones right there instead of just one. But Slim, I've already talked to him in an email and given him some ideas. But Slim, what do you think with that strategy, and what are some wide receivers you might be targeting?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a sound strategy this year for sure. Again, it comes down to, if you go RB0, you've got to spend the money somewhere. And this is the question of, maybe you do end up buying an Antonio Brown or Julio Jones because you can, and because there are a lot of value still at wide receiver. I mean, you might look and get a whole bunch of wide receivers from, say, like the third tier, or do you want one from tier 1 and then a couple guys from tier 4 and 5? Like, that's kind of where, to me, the question comes when you go RB0. I mean, yeah, we talked about it though. I mean, for me, AJ Green is a guy I like. To me, he's undervalued. Right now, he's currently going for $4 less than what our positional ranking says he should be going. So I like that. Des Bryant, I think, depending on the owners, just based on what happened last year, he can be a value. I think Keenan Allen's often overlooked. And then, yeah, guys like Alshon Jeffrey. I know I'm higher on him probably than you other two guys this year. I got him ranked a little bit higher than you. I like him to bounce back if he can stay healthy. He was putting up a huge amount of targets when he was on the field last year. So, to me, yeah, he's a guy that you want to target. Brandon Marshall now, even with Fitzpatrick, like, there is a lot of guys here in that area that could very well be. I don't want to say the wide receiver one, because I really feel like that's Antonio Brown's spot no matter what. But he could very well be the wide receiver 3 though. So yeah, I think there's something to be said for waiting on some of those guys. And this is where, this kind of horseshoe effect, you could really see it come in. The first couple of guys will go for a little bit more, and then all of a sudden there could be this lull in the middle, and you might find yourself getting a player like, Keenan Allen or Alshon Jeffrey for a lot less than you thought you'd have to pay. So yeah, I could see, like I said, that strategy to me makes sense. And then if you look further down the rankings, to me, there's a whole bunch of wide receivers around $25 that I think you could really fill out a decent roster with. Guys like Golden Tate and Julian Edelman, Randall Cobb, Moncrief, even Sammy Watkins to some extent. To me, I like all of those guys for that price as a wide receiver, and especially for I'm getting one of them as my wide receiver 3. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with his thought process so far.
Well, no, and I love that idea of what I was going to do at the Data Force draft was I was going to try to target those low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2s, grab 2 or 3 of those guys if I could, and then, if I got stuck with Sims and Theo and Duke Johnson sitting in there as my 3 RBs, and you spend $25 on 3 running backs, but yet you got 2 or 3 of those, like on this draft with A-Rob and Mike Evans and right? I think that's kind of the way to go. And I think it's a nice looking squad, especially in PPR, because you can make that up in so many ways, and people undervalue that.
Well, there's two frames of thought too that just came to my mind. My first one was like, when I've been doing some of these drafts recently, I've been trying to, if I felt like I was a little bit weak at a position, I really wanted to make darn sure that I was really strong in another position. So, for example, I do like a lot of these $20-something receivers, Macklin, Golden Tate, Randall Cobb. I paid more than that for him, but Dante Moncrief, even Benjamin, Dougie Baldwin, Jordan Matthews. So if I was going to do that, I would probably be more inclined to grab 5 of those guys versus saying, some people say, well, if I just get one of the good ones, so if I just can get Julio Jones for 60 and then round out with 4 of these other guys or something. Well, the problem is if Julio goes down, you're only left with those same guys anyways, but then because you spent so much on him, you really can't make sure you're solid at another position. So what I might recommend trying is you go for about 5 of those guys at the $24 range, $25 range, and you go after a couple, or maybe not quite that expensive, or maybe not quite that many, but then you really go after some really high-end tight ends and or running backs. Like maybe you make sure you're really solid at that other position or something like that. But the only, and that's not a bad strategy, but the only thing that is a little dangerous when you do something like that too is if it's not a best ball, who do you start every week? You have Jordan Matthews, Benjamin Moncrief, Fitzgerald, and all these guys.
Good problem to have, though.
It's hard to know which guy you should have in your lineup. So it's tough, but it seems pretty fun to have a lineup that includes all those guys. That's for sure.
Our waivers are open.
Our waivers for Dynasty? Yeah, you can drop guys.
But you can add guys?
You can add guys.
Oh, I didn't know our waivers were open. Look at me, I'm sleeping. And I think that's a good question, but I think Blister, by the time season kind of starts, you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to get it figured out. Like, Jordan Matthews taking a big dump, so Aguilar's the guy now, so then whatever, right? Yeah. So I don't know. But I like the strategy, and I think that's a better way of doing it, Blister. Like you say, grabbing 2 or 3 or 4 of that next tier or that third tier guys rather than buying up and then trying to figure out what you're going to do down low. Anything else to add that, Slim?
Well, I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate and say I think a lot of people are going to look at it, and one theory they're going to go with and see that there's a lot of depth at wide receiver. It's going to be tempting for a lot of owners to say, you know what, maybe I'll just go buy Todd Gurley. I'll get my one stud running back. I can get a lot of kind of those wide receiver 2s to fill out a wide receiver core, and then I will just go kind of RB0 after taking someone like Todd Gurley or David Johnson or somebody like that. And, that's when you load up on those PPR guys to have as your RB2s and your flexes and things like that. And again, it's going to come down. This wide receiver position, it's so deep. It's going to allow you the flexibility to do a lot of different things, I think. And it's, in a way, it's going to be good because I think it'll give you flexibility when you're actually in your draft. If, say, your plan doesn't go the way you want it to right out of the gates, you can switch around to do some other stuff. But I think it's going to be tempting for some of these guys. And not that there's anything wrong with this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with building a running back core around, a stud like Todd Gurley. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
If he goes down, you're going to be tough to fill that spot maybe, but because you've blown such a big percentage of your budget on one position. But to me, those are the two that's going to be up to owners to decide what they want to do.
And I think that's a good point too, that it is so deep that you can play some of those games again where you got to just sit down and say, what does my team look like? Plan A, plan B, plan C, and then have that flexibility to make your move and know who your targets are going to be when it goes one way or the other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good question. And as training camps start to unfold here, we'll have a better idea of who some of those 3rd and 4th year receivers might be the better ones to target, and then start using those nomination strategies and whatnot to save a couple bucks. And then you can do both. You can do like what Slim just said. You can go RB0 but with Todd Gurley, and then go from there, right?
There's a lot of options, it feels like, this year. It seems like there's just so many good receivers out there, and there's a lot of question marks at running back, and I think there's really a lot of options. In the next month, things will happen where, remember last year we thought there was a lot of options, and now Nelson went down. That's what happened. Really good reading lightning stories coming out. So time will tell. We have another month or so before it will get really interesting.
All right, good question. So that was email. The email is footballauctioneer@gmail.com. Just emailed Blister directly, which I do like too. That's good stuff. Trade revoked. Bots. All right, let's move into next segment here, guys. This one is the fantasy football news, buy or sell. So in the buy or sell, we take a look at news items and ask our analysts whether they buy or sell, the implications of that item. First one here probably won't take a whole lot of time, but I thought was interesting a bit. Veteran wide receiver Hakeem Nicks signed a one-year deal with the Saints. This is on the eve of their first training camp practice, so that was today on Wednesday, and that is according to ESPN. We'll start with you, Slim. Buy or sell? Nobody cares with all the great receivers at the Big Easy.
I'll buy. I don't know if it's so that the receivers are so great. It's just that Akeem Nicks is so trash.
Not great?
Not great, sure.
Okay.
So that's it.
Well, I just think that everyone talks a lot about the Saints wide receiving core. I just wonder, why would they even need Hakeem Nicks? What role does he fill that Brandon Coleman doesn't fill, or Snead doesn't fill, or...
He's a training camp body, as far as I could tell, and they're hoping just for anything. But I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it is either.
All right, okay, let's move on to one that's probably a little bit, well, not probably, it is more important. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Jets agree to a one-year deal. So the Jets and quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick ended their 5-month contract dispute on Wednesday, which is today. The two sides finalized a one-year, $12 million contract on the eve of the first training camp practice, according to Adam Schefter. The deal includes $3 million in incentives and could boost up to $15 million, as the source told Schefter. So, Blister, buy or sell? This does nothing but good things for B. Marsh and Eric Decker.
Oh, I buy that. Marsh was the number 3 receiver last year, and Decker was top 15, I believe. So, you know what? It's a huge signing for them, and I think there's no reason to think that they can't put up similar numbers. I mean, B. Marsh isn't getting any younger, so he could decline a bit, but he still should potentially be a top 10. He had 173 targets last year and 109 catches. That's a pretty darn good year. And Decker finished as 13th. He had 132 targets with 80 catches. Both went for over 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns. I mean, they should have pretty good years again. I've been kind of avoiding them in drafts, not knowing what would happen, and scared off that Fitz might not get signed. But now it's full steam ahead with Marsh and Eric.
So, Slim, does this move them in your rankings right now?
Not tons, really. I always kind of operated under the assumption that he, with these guys, that he would be there.
Yeah.
I might move Decker up a little bit. I think I had him a little bit lower, but I kind of have Marshall as a wide receiver one anyway, low end one.
Yeah,
I'll put Fitzpatrick now in the rankings. I never put him in my rankings just because he still hadn't signed, but I kind of always operated under the assumption it didn't make sense for the Jets to not do this, especially when they restructured Muhammad Wilkerson's contract. It seemed like they did that in order, well, one, to lock up Wilkerson long term, but two, it would free up some money short term to do a move like this, which it kind of seemed like the writing was on the wall. And of course, it always just waits till the very last minute for both sides to kind of come to this agreement.
Yeah, for sure.
Both trying to use as much leverage as possible. So I'm not surprised it kind of went like this. So Yeah, no. I think anybody who owns them is probably pretty pumped, though. We'll see if Fitzpatrick's still going to be an upgrade to Geno Smith or not. It wasn't like he was super efficient last year, but those guys definitely did see a lot of targets that, and probably will get more than they would get with Geno Smith, though.
Does this affect the running game blister at all?
Well, I think I like it for Matt Forte. I mean, he catches a lot of passes out of the backfield, so I think it can only help him as well. I don't think it affects it too much. I think that in Geno's case, he kind of just maybe more misread probably, and where passes or something like that. I think the handoffs and stuff are pretty simple, but I think the offense should keep rolling now, which keep both the aerial attack and the running game, moving along, whereas maybe drives won't get stalled out quite as easily.
Right. Okay, let's move on to item number 3. Zeke Elliott assault case is now underway. This is as of Wednesday evening. So the woman who accused Dallas Cowboy running back of assaulting her is taking the case to the prosecutor's office, and an investigation into the incident is underway. So, I mean, I'm sure we've all been on Twitter or wherever else, and the pictures have been on and that type of thing. But are we going to? No, we're going to Slim this time around. So, Slim, buy or sell. Zeke is not really worth his AAV of $56 now with this investigation.
I will say I would avoid him at the moment. I don't know if he did this or not. I've heard reports that he didn't, and this woman is trying to, they had some nasty breakup, and she was going to use these types of pictures to try and wreck his career, and that she came from some bar fight she was in or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is. All I know is that in the wake of what's happened the last couple of years in pro sports, accusations like this aren't taken lightly. So if there's any kind of truth to this, then he's probably going to be punished to some capacity. So until we know exactly what's going on, I'm going to kind of shy away just because of the nature of these types of allegations now. And I mean, I hope it's not true, but until we know, it's just kind of really sketchy and something you want to kind of avoid, I guess, if you can.
All right. Let's move on to next. Ryan Matthews is placed on the active/NFL list. NFI list, sorry. NFI is non-football related injury list. So Eagles running back Ryan Matthews has been placed on this list with an ankle injury suffered last week. Matthews, whose injury wasn't noticeable when he walked by reporters today, when he reported for training camp, is expected to receive the bulk of the carries for the season for the Eagles' new offense. So banged up ankle on a Band-Aid player, blister, buy or sell? Kenyon Barner?
Buy Kenyon late in your draft, late in your auction for $1. I mean, you always got to look at guys in a spot that, right now might not even be getting talked about. But, there's not a lot of depth in Philadelphia, and I was reading up on him months ago, actually, about the potential that should, Matthews go down. That's not the role Sproles would play. Probably not Smallwood either. So the next guy up potentially could be Kenyon Barner. So you better keep him on your radar. And if you can pick him up, that always happens every year. You see these guys that are more injury prone, and often than not, they end up injured. So I would keep an eye on Kenyon Barner, and I've actually got him on a few rosters already and some of my best balls and different things like that. So keep him out there, keep an eye on him, and you might want to take him.
All right. Moving on for you, Slim, this one. Nick Foles won't be joining the Rams as they begin a new era in Los Angeles. Buy or sell, Slim? This isn't fantasy news. Go on to the next one.
Give me all these ones. I'm going to buy it. Yeah, he's
all
a
right,
plug.
Terrible,
terrible move for the Rams to begin with. Yeah, he sucks.
All right, I'm going to give you the next one then, Slim, because I've given you those two cheapies. Jamal Charles has been added to the PUP list. So the Kansas City Chiefs will be without another veteran to start training camp. The team placed running back Jamal Charles on the physically unable to perform list for the start of workouts. And if we remember, Charles suffered an ACL tear in October, underwent his second knee surgery in the past 4 years. He's turning 30 in December, and the Chiefs are not going to rush him back. So, Slim, buy or sell. Let someone else buy Jamal Charles.
Sell it. I mean, why would the Chiefs rush him back? He's their workhorse. Yes, he's aging, and he's coming off an injury. There's no need for him to even be out there right now. They don't care. This does nothing for Jamal Charles. So why wouldn't the Chiefs be cautious with him? Why does Jamal Charles even want to be out there? He probably doesn't. He'd rather be at home, playing Xbox or something. So I hope there's tons of reports like this.
He's at the field, isn't he?
What's that?
He's at the field. He's not sitting at home playing Xbox.
No. I know, but I'm saying if it was up to him, why does he even care that he's in OTAs and stuff? He doesn't. He's done this a million times. He'd go home and, take a piece off the old lady or something. I don't know. There's a million things he'd probably rather be doing than hanging out in the field doing nothing. But no, my point is, this is, these are the reports you want. This can hopefully drive his price down, and all of a sudden he's a value in August when you're drafting, because everybody thinks he's going to be injury prone, and he's old and he hasn't been practicing. Oh my God. So, but yeah, I mean, there's no reason for the Chiefs to rush him. There's no reason for Jamal Charles to rush himself, even though he's probably pretty close. And I'm sure if it was a game this weekend, he could probably suit up if he needed to.
Right. Okay. So you're not too worried about it then?
No. You've seen him on Twitter doing box jumps and things like that for the last 5 months. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about him participating in non-contact drills and things like that right now. He's been doing that in his rehab.
There you go. All right. So that's some 5 or 6 different news items. I didn't have anything up here next. I thought you guys might have something that you want to talk. You know what I'm kind of thinking about is running an impromptu killing in the name of. What do you think, Slim? Do you have anything you'd want to kill in the name of fantasy football?
No, I don't know. Caught me in a good night, I guess. I'm just not.
You're not surly and bitter. That's
well, not about fantasy football, just about life, I guess, probably. But it's not.
So I thought we would take this. Well, we actually took this to close to an hour.
Oh, I bet.
It's funny, even the two of you just it went to like an hour 12. It just was like 72 minutes. No kidding. We always end between 64 and 72 minutes, no matter what the script says. We can have 900 things on there or 6 things on there, and it's just how it goes. That's
script.
it.
Use that term loosely. A few bullet points.
Yeah, that's right. There's bullet points.
We've gotten way slack. Remember a couple years ago when we started this nice elaborate script, we'd all jot down little things. Now we just
talking points.
That's right.
That's right. So are you any drafts right now? No, hey?
No, not at the moment.
Just kicking back, just watching us.
Just doing masonry work and just listening to reading the group chat periodically with my phone on silent because it would be going off constantly.
Well, let's see. I'm just trying to think of anything that's newsworthy as far as the website goes. You guys better be working on some stuff for the membership site. $14.95 get you our close to 400 player ranks and auction values, including the VI, the value indicator that Blister spoke to earlier. You can get onto the website. There is a link on there for the members area. You can take a look at where we sit compared to all the major players out there on the internet and how much they're going to offer you. I bought the annual magazine for the cabin and just to sit there and use for kindling later, but just for stats more than anything when I'm out of Wi-Fi service. 2 pages of auction stuff it was actually not bad, except for I just cannot. I should have brought the magazine. because it would have been a nice conversation starter to say, what do you think of these rankings go? Because it was, I was dumbfounded. I was reading it the other day, and I actually was like, out loud, I'm like, these guys are so stupid. And Carrie Lynn just looks at me and goes, sorry, Auntie Buckets looks at me and she goes, who are you talking to? And I'm like, the magazine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be getting mad reading magazine. Anyways, $14.95 for the membership. And you'll get articles that are auction related, more than just 2 pages that were in the magazine. It costs you as much as a magazine. You get all the info there. I've even trying to start now interactive online community using Google Spaces. We got a few guys that are on there now, and we're trying to learn how to use that to share resources and ask questions and talk with the three of us and also talk with each other. Speaking of community, Slim's trying to also start that on, or that's trying to start that, has that underway on Twitter. The Twitter handle Slim is
at FF Auction Advice.
FF Auction Advice, and that's a community of auction players that are on there. He's talking about posting some stuff on a more regular basis on there just to try to get the community starting to buzz now. The training camps underway. You know what else? A nice little thing that I forgot that we have on the site that I saw the other day was the 3 ways to win it, or 5 ways to win and 3 ways to lose article. So we've got that on there, and all you have to do is just fire in your email address, and it'll fire you that article. 5 ways to win, 3 ways to lose your fantasy auction.
Yeah, we should probably try to get some folks together and get a real live mock to see if the prices have changed since we've done it last, which we should have. With different guys being signed now and different players coming out of the woodwork like Foster and Josh Gordon. But we should try to get that. I mean, so much more useful when we get 12 actual people drafting, auctioning. So maybe we'll tweet that out when we're going to get ready to do that. And if people can hop on and do that with us, that'd be good. Maybe we can write a couple articles based off those numbers.
And on that note, like the FF Auction Advice is a great place for that. If you're looking to say, hey, I'm going to mock this afternoon, who's in? I'm going in on league number blah, blah, blah. Or if you can scrounge up 12 guys and just create a fake league and get on there and mock with actual live guys, that's a way to do it. That FF Auction Advice is the community of auction players. So that's a great way to get your own practice in too, because now is the time to really get that mock going. Hey, Slim, I mean, it's all about mock.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly like, based on even our email question. Like, you need to pick a strategy that you think is going to work for you. The only way to test it out is to actually get in a mock draft and see what happens, what your team looks like. So, yeah, don't be that guy that just goes in there and thinks it's going to work, and then you leave your draft looking like a noob because you didn't try it out at all.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I do, like I say at the lake, because I can't sit there with cellular service, is I'll take our auction rankings and our AAVs, and I'll just try to construct teams with different strategies. Like, what does this look like, and what does that look like? And that's something that anyone can do. So if you're a member of the site, all of our stuff is downloadable. You can, tweak your own rankings, what you're supposed to do. We talk about that nonstop, especially in August. Creating your own rankings and your own tiers. But you can take a look at the tiers that you've created or tiers that we've created. Lister's already has his tiers up and running on the membership area, but just play with those teams. Say 0 running back. What does that look like? This is what my roster would look like. All right. What if I do like Slim said and take Todd Gurley and then 3 guys from tier 4 at the wide receiver position? What does that look like? What does it look like if I take Cam and Gronk? What does my team look like? And you can do that with auctions. Rather than just waiting and hoping for the best, and then you can have all your, there was a deal on Jordan Reed. I'm going into plan C because I've already worked out what my team looks like and I know who to target and how that all works. So the downloadable content on the membership site allows you to get all that stuff too. And allows you to create your own ranks based on, I've already entered in all the stuff on a spreadsheet for you, so you don't have to do it. So even that alone for some people is worth the $14.95, I think. So you don't have to enter it in yourself.
We were on some site there tonight. You had it on your computer. That something you had up, and if you wanted to download right there, go back to that one. Download this data to Excel for $15. So from Fantasy Data, you could download their spreadsheet basically to Excel for $15. Well, that's one spreadsheet. So you've got all those spreadsheets created, and they can grab them and do what they want and tweak them, and plus everything else we do on there, our breakdowns and everything else. So it's not a bad deal. I think the people that do go there, obviously they do enjoy it because they come back. And
yeah.
It's helped me win some fantasy.
Some. Jeez. Guys doing too much of that. Maybe we should lock him out, Slim, of the website so that he can't get to any of the stuff.
No way. That's good. Lose our street cred, man. We'll just keep posting
the three of us have been on top of your big auction for some time. We got to keep that up.
Yeah, it's been I think 4 years row now or something.
Well, since we started this, I think basically is how it's all come down, and I think it might maintain that if this trip to Buffalo Wild Wings holds true, and
the Hill brothers on this road trip, hugging and sleeping.
I'm bringing a phone,
crying. And, it'd be awesome. Maybe tripping on.
Bringing a phone.
I'm telling you,
put one in my golf bag.
The taller of the two may disappear before the end of the draft.
I don't know if you'll.
What's the over under on 15 rounds? Do you take the over or under that he just all of a sudden ends up back at the hotel?
Well, I say he might get somewhere between 9 and 11 players on his team before he goes MIA. That's what I'm thinking. And we won't find him till the next morning. It's going to be awesome.
At least we have a dad on the trip, though. That's a good thing. Big Daddy over here will take care of us. Big Fish.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I don't want to.
Do you know CPR?
Bring the paddles from the Gazette department, Slim.
Okay.
Just think.
Okay.
And then drive fast and get me.
Drive fast.
Who's gonna drive?
That's a tough. I'll be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paddling myself.
All right. Well, I think I've kept the Bliss family up with my loud barking voice long enough. Men's night tomorrow night?
Yeah, or afternoon.
Afternoon. Men's afternoon, Slim, or are you masonrying?
No, we're hosting a retirement dinner for my mother, so I got to pass.
Oh, that's
Nice.
I
nice.
got some prep work to do.
All right.
Oh,
Well, shout out to Slim's mom.
yeah. Congratulations.
All right. You can tell her that it officially made it on the internet, that her retirement, that's a pretty big deal.
I'll see if it's
42 people.
city followers on our Facebook page or something.
There you go. Yeah, I'll post it on there. Maybe I'll tag her. Is she on Facebook? I'll tag her on the Facebook group.
Don't.
She'll get a shout out from
She on Facebook? Yeah, she's probably all over Facebook, liking crap and snooping on people's photos, and she knows more about what people do than I do. Oh, so was going to town last weekend. Yeah. How did you know that? On Facebook. Yeah. Changed her life.
Just before I sign off, I just want to say that we were the first podcast, I think, this week that I've heard that didn't make a Pokemon Go joke. So I'm proud of us for that. That meme that was on there was pretty good.
We'll leave it at that.
I have been playing a little bit, though, and it is wicked. No, it's not wicked, but
come on.
with
I was
kids,
going to
it's
lose.
whatever.
We just lost our.
That's all right. Only Dave's the only one still
walk
listening at the
across,
hour 15 mark.
Walk off the end of your dock with your phone and
There's one right at the end of my street. It's a pretty important one. Yeah. Well, it's always there. That's the thing. It's for everybody to get all the time.
No one's got it yet.
There you go.
How
Oh no,
stupid
it
is
doesn't
this
go
game?
away. Everyone gets it up. All I know is how to catch them so far. Apparently, they're supposed to fight and you grow them and stuff, and then they Blister and I will have battles, and I don't know. Apparently, I don't know. That and Snapchat. All I got to say too is Newsy had a good time in Vegas, according to Snapchat. I'll tell you that.
Snapchat.
He was posting on his story all week. It was 44 degrees there today.
That's hot. Yeah, pretty good.
Man,
This has just officially gone off the rails. I apologize for that.
I don't know. I'm old, but
All right. Okay, that's it. We're done. All right, Slim. Good luck at your party tomorrow, Blister. I was gonna say I'll see you tomorrow at the links, but we're sitting beside each other. And for the rest of you, I'll see you when it's springtime in the Rockies.